All right, so in this video, I want to document the process of making a PID. So a bit of background context. I've got this app that I've spun up. It's pretty much in the prototype slash MVP stage. However, it's actually been quite useful so far for learning Pali, but it's pretty half-baked. There's a homepage, there's a bit of a introduction about what the app's about. If you click sign in, you basically go straight to the search tool rather than signing in, so the authentication isn't built. Some of these buttons are pretty useful, but they can definitely be improved, and some of them aren't that useful yet, such as selecting chapters, and there's confusion about whether it filters the existing results that are displaying on the screen or whether it's searching for notes from a certain chapter. Not that the context and how this app works is so important at this stage in the video. My goal is to continue developing this in Cursor. I'm trying to get better and more intentional and update myself on good workflows when using Cursor. One of the things I talked about in the previous video was that I wanted to get a PID and a feature list pre-made so that Cursor can reference it. So I've never really made a PID before because at work they're already made. The way I've been building this so far, I was building it feature by feature. I had features in Jira and I was just going into Cursor and just getting it to build it without referring to any external documents. My good friend actually had a crack making this and I thought it was really impressive. It's definitely got a lot of stuff which I wouldn't have considered myself. It's got go-to-market strategy inspired by Duolingo's playbook. That's the type of thing that I would have completely overlooked. Though he does have a background in marketing, which makes sense. So this could be my starting point for the PID. However, I would probably go back and forth with ChatGPT. I want to look a bit at the app and see what features that are in my head that I want to put down on paper. And let's see if we can generate one in a reasonable amount of time, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't know how hard it's meant to be, but I really don't want to go for more than 1 hour. So let's see how we go. So let's talk to ChatGPT. Okay, give me a rough high-level outline of the components of a PID, specifically for the purpose of putting into a markdown file so that Cursor can reference it when I'm building my web app. Cool. It's quite a bit of stuff. Maybe we might simplify it, but that's a really cool starting point. So we've got purpose, product goals. So let me just answer these questions one by one, and then I'll get ChatGPT to incorporate it. Okay, so why are we building this? I'm building this because I want the process of learning Pali to be more smooth and with less friction so that it's more accessible and it's easier to maintain the habit. It just makes studying easier and it reduces the time searching for words rather than thinking and learning. Because from my experience, a lot of the time taken when you're doing exercises in a specific book made by Water is spent finding the definition of a word. So I just want to equalize it with other languages where you could simply go to a dictionary and find the definition rather than search through multiple online resources or try to find the page in the textbook that the word is in. Yeah, that's the purpose. Also, the purpose is to facilitate the learning of it, not just the search function, but there'll be things like favorites, study sessions with spaced repetition like Anki, etc. So it's to enable the learning and the memorization of words in a frictionless way. It's to leverage technology to facilitate the process of learning. And to be honest, a lot of this was done extremely well by my teacher, Marco. However, he did it in Anki, and it so happens that a lot of the benefits that you can get from Anki, it's just how it happens that the students often don't take advantage of Anki because there are a few points of friction, like just downloading the app, installing plugins, learning syntax to query the words, etc., etc. So this is meant to be like an app which is purposely made for learning Pali rather than trying to make Anki work for Pali, especially for the type of audience that isn't keen to download softwares and then install plugins and learn syntaxes, etc., etc. So it's meant to simplify everything. Cool, that's very good. Let's keep going. So the problem statement, so the pain points is not enough time, vocab takes too long to look up or not able to look up certain vocabs when doing the translation exercises in the water textbook. In addition to the vocabulary, there's also reference material that often needs to be referenced, and they often sit in different places. When I'm studying, there are different websites that have different pieces of information about grammar and stuff, or the textbook itself, key points are found throughout the textbook. The pain point there, I guess, would be going through the effort of finding where it is, whether it be on the internet or whether it's a certain chapter in the textbook, every time you need to refer to it. So that's a point of friction. So that's a pain point. Another pain point is forgetting vocabulary, though it's not such a big deal, I find, if you can simply search it up. But then a pain point would be difficulty trying to memorize words, which we can definitely help with just with spaced repetition. Another pain point would be pronunciation, which is why eventually I want to put the audio for the words in there. Yeah, just wondering what other pain points there would be. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. All right, let's go through goals and non-goals. So what must be true for us to call this a win? I reckon it's going to be a win if we get to the stage where there's a translation exercise specifically in water where it is very easy, almost instantaneous, that we search the word into the website and the definition pops up. A few different things that need to be done to make that happen. You have to have authentication for users to log in so that the study history is stored as well as the favorites. I want to increase the scope of it. I want this deployed with multiple tiers, including a paid tier. That's mainly to make it financially sustainable, since quite a bit of investment, time and money has gone into this already, but it's also for experience, since I haven't really implemented the subscription sort of tiers before. And another input goal for it to be a success is we have to market it online in forums through contacts with other Pāļi students as well as on Pāļi. That's an input goal. I'm not going to say it needs 10,000 people using it or even 100, but the more the better actually, because our goal is to make Pāļi more accessible and encourage people to learn it and be inspired. I'm just reading off my friend Suze's PhD. Another bit of a goal, I don't know if this is being too specific, but then it's to address the vocab friction as well as the grammar friction, as well as have a mechanism to account for conjugated or declined inputs. And also we want to be using analytics to validate our assumptions, as Suze said. I reckon that would be called a win, and it's possible. What else? Oh, another thing that would make it a win is that it's easily transferable to our Sanskrit cards after we've got this first version up and running. Okay, so what would not be tackled in this iteration? I don't think we're actually going to tackle the audio in this iteration. I don't think we're going to tackle incorporating AI into this. I don't think we're going to incorporate phrases or sentences. And it's not so related to this, but then it's because I was working on this in parallel before. I don't think we're going to incorporate the video courses to call this first phase a win. And this is really phase 1, if what we've got already is phase 0, or we can call this phase 2, whatever. But I was really proud when I got this up and running, so it's definitely a phase already. Okay, so we're going to target audience, so Vipassana and Theravada meditation students who wish to learn Pāļi, but specifically for the first iteration, they wish to learn Pāļi and they're going to study it using the textbook called Water, or they wish to learn Pāļi and they're also studying the gem set in gold, because the notes we have are very specific to these resources. It's also Buddhist scholars and monastics and self-motivated language learners seeking clarity, etc. Cool. Let's go a bit into the functional requirements. Alrighty. Right, so there's a search interface, right, where I think it would be really cool if you could search with your voice here. But I don't know how good speech to text is for this kind of thing, but something to look into. But yeah, so there's a search interface where you can query cards, right? There are some toggles we can do in the search. We can make it account for the diacritics or not. We can match a full word or not. There's ability to favorite cards that come up. And there's ability to, which isn't here yet, to see grammatical terms based on categories such as declensions or conjugations. Like For example, you search up what does this declension mean? What's accusative? What's nominative? What's ablative, for example. Here's the cool one, which we haven't implemented, but if you were to search up a specific declension of a noun, as you can see, the nouns are provided just in their stems, and you've got the nominative suffix in brackets, like here. But what if the user were to pass in a specific declension? It normally wouldn't come up. So for example, oh wow, okay, that's too many things coming up, far out. So on that note, we need a way to rank the search results. At the moment, I think they're ranked somehow by default, but then we need a way to rank them. Like perhaps if it appears in the actual transliteration, then it should be at the top, for example. But my point was the stem, and then there's the nominative suffix. But what if I were to put something like Prissung, then fine, in accusative case, examples of it come up, right? However, the word Parisso doesn't come up, and I would have liked it to. So I want this to come up when I type Parissa. So there needs to be a mechanism for that. So where were we? Yep, if I wanted all the cards from chapter 1, all the cards from chapter 2, I should be able to click this. There should be probably buttons here which go filter current search results or something else more appropriate, because at the moment they just filter current search results, right? But then we need options. I should have a button here which just gives me noun stuff, another one which just gives me verb stuff, and one where I can just go in and see the participles and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. Favorites. I think these tags need to be tidied up. It needs to be descriptive. The grammatical notes and the tags need to be pretty user-friendly. It's probably no good just having NM. It just means masculine noun, I think. However, that's already here, so we need to do a bit of cleaning up on that. Yep, that's pretty it for now in terms of the search function. I want to save this text a bit just in case somehow it gets lost. That'll be very awkward. Okay, so that's in terms of the search function. Now, what else do we need? There needs to be a function to study. So rather than searching, you need to study. And yeah, that'll pretty much involve choosing what to study and also number of new cards and number of reviews. Then you can start your study session. That's because sometimes you just wish to study cards from a certain chapter, but sometimes you don't wish to study the grammatical terms. So there needs to be toggles for what to study, what not to study, or study in general. And after that, there needs to be parameters for how many new cards to study and how many to review. Just like there is Anki, but simpler. Okay, I think that's cool. That's pretty cool. Alrighty, let's go back to the original PRD that Suze wrote. Here it is. Match diacritics, talked about it, forward match, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. That's cool. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so we can talk about the tech stack. Now, I want to see if Cursor knows the tech stack just by asking it. So if I don't add anything, and how about, can you please identify the tech stack of this whole repository here, front end and back end included? But it's not true that it's a Python backend. Are you sure it's a Python backend? I'm going to reference the backend folder. Okay, cool. So then you got front end, you got back end. So give me a summary. Just give it all to me in one go. That's the tech stack. Cool. I think those bits are fine. So I want to rewrite the first few bits. If I just chuck this, what's it going to do? A real long message. Look at that. The beauty of voice typing. Oh, it's not as long as I thought. Far out. But then, I mean, it is long, but I felt like I was talking for ages. Yeah, it is quite a bit. Cool. It looks good, pretty good. Goals. Okay, fair enough. I didn't say that, but user accounts, store history and favorites, cool. Analytics through PostHog, yeah. I wonder how it knew that. Did I tell it? Tiered subscriptions, yes. Community traction, yep. Yeah, very cool. I think I just edited it here then. Yeah, but in the goals bit, I want to say that I want to go into the specifics I was talking about of match diacritics, full word, select chapters is working, as well as viewing specific grammar cards related to verbs and nouns. Non-goals, word level audio, yep. Oh, there we go, bang. Okay, I wonder what filter chips are, but whatever. I think that's really cool. However, it did not talk about the ordering. Also, please talk about intentional ordering of the search results, because at the moment they're not ordered properly, and also proper presentation of the tag and the grammatical details, potentially removing some of them. Also, where was the spaced repetition study sessions? Yep, so spaced repetition study sessions with ability to choose what to study and number of new words and revision words. Cool. These I'm not so concerned with. I don't know if Cursor's gonna care too much about the user personas and key use cases. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave this as it is for now. No, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Knows about the freelancers too, so from my other chats. And knows about Marco as well, even though I didn't mention his name. That's cool. That's probably how I knew about PostHog. Cool. Okay, cool. Good enough. Let's just copy it over here. Delete some of these because I don't know. I don't know about them, and I don't think Cursor needs them, which was my main intention behind writing this. Oh, that's all good. Let's not worry about non-functional for now. I don't envision there being that many users so soon to worry too much about those kind of things. Now I just want to look at Suze's document and go, I really like these. So, which is really cool. It's got the marketing aspect on it. So ChatGPT to add these in actually. Alright, so how are we going so far for time? We've been going for 40 minutes, almost there with the PID. Didn't really want to go for an hour, so I think we're almost there. If anyone watching this thinks I'm doing anything noob or just with the tech side of things, or even just using ChatGPT, really appreciate it if you just let me know. Always keen to learn. Not assuming that I'm doing it the best way I possibly can, though I am trying. So something like that would be cool. I know it's not numbered correctly, but all the information's more or less there. It's pretty high level, I gotta say, but it's cool. It's very cool. Now I'll just push this back in. Is that Markdown? So anyway, if you're thinking about making an app from scratch, suggest experimenting with making this type of thing first from a high level, then either going to Cursor with it or going straight to Bolt, which I haven't done before, but that's what I want to suggest to my friend soon, who's keen to make a fitness tracker. So is this actually in Markdown? I wonder. So if I just, wow, there's so much stuff here that I need to clean. But if I just go new folder, docs, PID, MD, is it actually gonna, oh, there you go. That is very cool. That is Markdown, isn't it? Just cool. This is all in Markdown. Oh, very cool. Let's leave this session here